Hi. Oh, man. Tyler rocking the blue Capelli. Not for much longer.
This wasn't even on purpose.
Not for much longer. This is a season 7 premiere Cap Chat Live. It's been way too long. So we're gonna get
Season 7?
Season 7.
Ooh,
7.
good for us.
Yeah. It's been a long time, man.
Hooray us.
Yeah, hooray us. Way to go us. I think it's like 116th episode or something.
That's pretty good. That's
Yeah.
like what temperature it's been outside.
Ooh. Yeah, you guys have, so you guys, as you know, Tyler's the head women's coach coming into his 15th season?
16th.
16th season, and they are constantly moving things around for the Heat. How does that affect, let's talk for you. Talk to you for a second on the preseason. How bad is that affecting you guys, and what do you have to do to move around with the Heat?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is load management because we were at like 7:30 or 8 and then 4 p.m. for 2-a-days. That's not bad. But then they had us moving like 7 in the morning and then like 7 or 8:30 at night. And so then if you're trying to repeat that schedule, your kids aren't getting any sleep, they're not getting the rest they need. And so now you end up giving more time off in the preseason than you probably want to. And so and for us, we do a lot of our team bonding stuff at night. And so it's kind of cut into that. So, and then, if you want to check some fitness and do a little fitness testing, anything like that, you're really kind of counting that out now because of the quick turnarounds and things. So it has quite an effect on, we play a game tomorrow and we really had our first full practice on like Sunday. So that's how quickly the college game takes shape. And so, you really have to put a lot of things in a short amount of time. It's a very difficult schedule to navigate.
And that's a preseason game, though, right?
It's a preseason, yeah. But we're a week. Next Saturday is our first regular season game, so it's going to come really fast.
Wow.
And when you start to lose sessions and time for learning, it's really tough.
So ultimately, they got to come in fit.
Yeah. That is true. I don't think anybody trying to change fitness in like a week, it's not going to happen. Your fit people are your fit people, and your next step after that anyway is game shape, and sometimes game shape is a conditioned thing that takes time as well.
Yeah, game shape's so different than Jackson's going through high school tryouts, and it's interesting how their fitness is so drastically different, and I hate to say the word unrealistic, but it's not soccer fitness. It's just running just to run, and I'm sure there's a place for it, but I struggle with that let's run just to run situation.
Right.
But there's soccer fitness. I'm all about fitness. Don't get me wrong. I the beep test and all those things. I think they're good metrics to know. But just let's go out and run 5 laps and then let's run 6 miles. I don't know how realistic. I don't know how realistic that is. But I don't know. I'm not a high school coach. I don't want to knock them.
Yeah, and different positions call for different load management. Training. So you need to know what you're, especially at the college level. So understanding what you're responsible for and how much distance you have to cover and those things, and trying to replicate that in your fitness is really important.
Yeah. Well, we got a fun show, interesting. There's been, it's incredible. Tyler and I, we normally try to do a summer hiatus, and it's been about 2 months since we had a show, and the amount of things that have changed, we could do 10 shows. But we're going to hyper-focus on the 5 and 5 rule that for NCAA Division 1 and Division 2. So we're gonna dive into that, here and then. But welcome back to Cap Chat Live.
You're listening to Cap Chat, the #1 soccer recruitment podcast in the United States.
This is Cap Chat.
All right. So we're back. What are you going to say? Sorry, I interrupted you.
Have we? So I'm trying to remember. Help me out. I felt like we had like a little emergency Cap Chat about when Division One did the 5-5.
We did. Yeah, we talked
Okay.
briefly about it. Emergency session. Yeah, we called
Emergency Cap Chat live. That should be its own show
Yeah.
almost at this point.
We called Congress back, and we had to dive into that. So it was. I think we had like a new news or something. I don't know what it was, but so yeah. Oh, this was it here. Breaking news. But while we were at the Nike headquarters, we saw this happening. We saw Division II. We've been following it closely, and now Division II has officially passed the 5-5 rule. And then we'll talk to Tyler about what the how this kind of will affect NAI. But it's obviously a big change. I haven't bumped into anyone that has disliked it, but I guess let me tell you kind of what it is. It is a strict 5-year of active competition, and your 5-year clock. It's 19 is when it really starts. When you guys are high school, when you turn 19. So there's no red shirts. There's no medical waivers. The only waivers you have are for religious omissions, pregnancy or military service. Beyond that, your clock starts. That's what you have, and that's it. So, yeah, we did talk a little bit about that. I said in our emergency meeting. Have you bumped into anyone, Tyler, in Division I or now Division II that has been opposed to this?
Not really. I think the landscape has changed so much. I mean, I've talked to some administrators that don't love it, and I kind of understand their perspective from an administration. Could just cause some headaches, more tie-ups, a little bit more paperwork. And then, there's some administrators that still kind of believe in the purity of the game, I guess, 4 years is how you play it. But no, I think for the most part, the people I have talked to have been in favor of this and supportive of this, and are okay kind of rolling with the punches.
Yeah, I'm getting the same thing. Have you heard, like, what do we think that the main driver is? Have we heard anything of like the main driving force, or what was this? What did this change?
Well, I think one of the biggest concerns over the last 2 years has just been the age portion of what is college athletics, and how do we define collegiate athletics in the United States? Is it supposed to be a place for 18 to 22-year-olds primarily, and then there are obviously some exemptions or non-traditional students here and there, but do we want to open this up to really getting away from amateurism? We're already paying these people, but maybe if we pay them and they're all younger, then we can keep some semblance of the amateurism alive and well within college athletics.
Yeah. So I read something interesting that it happened for 4 main reasons.
Okay.
So we can kind of debate, but I think number one was this stopping the tide of lawsuits. We talked about this.
How did that go?
Yeah. Well, I think there's already a lawsuit. Yeah. So yeah, happened within a day. But I think we said when the NIL came about, we said it somewhere on this podcast that the NCAA is losing control, and there's a lot of legal risk. So under the 4 seasons, players were denied for like medical hardship, and now you have the NIL, the name, image, likeness. Now you have a ton of financial stakes of players staying in college, and state, federal judges issued temporary restraining orders. So states fighting states and injunctions, and NCAA to grant further years, and we know happened in the JUCO, and so there was constant litigation that was happening.
Yep.
constantly. And there's going to be more litigation, but could this? I mean, I think that that was one thing of the eligibility lawsuits. And like you said, there's already one that I think came up the next day. Colorado and one other state, I think, are now contradicting each other. So
Yes.
we are in a lawsuit-heavy world right now on that. But number two was eliminating it, like the broken waiver system. So medical hardships, red shirts, sports specific played, postgraduates. So they had a lot of compliance issues. Which when you said that some of the administrators dislike that, I think this adds. I think it makes their life easier. I don't know. Because now, I mean, you got 5 years. There's no.
It should.
You get a medical hardship. There's the ways you can finagle it, right? Like, if you don't play 20%, if you don't play 20% of the games, you can get a medical waiver. You can get this, and I know we are making decisions. Some kids were injured. Like, do we put them into this game and it pushes them the 20% threshold? And now it doesn't matter. Like, blow your knee out, you blow your knee out. What do you think? What do you think of that? The people who blow a knee out and now. That's just their season gone.
Well, I like your counter argument there to the administrators that things should be easier for you now. I don't think this should make it harder for you. I mean, obviously, a lawsuit out of the gate and a shakeup right at the beginning for them didn't help that feeling. But I agree. I kind of think that if it's 5-5, I don't know what else you're going to argue about. If you blow out your knee and it takes you 2 years to get back, well, you lost 2 years of your 5.
Yeah.
It's just how it is now. You're not going to get it back. You can sue and do whatever, but that's gone, and that's how it's supposed to be. So I agree. I think maybe you're right. And maybe this does make that easier and does give less work for administrators.
Yeah. And we've been seeing a lot of one of the third point what someone made was the ending of the 7th year senior of this roster chaos, starting with the COVID-19 kind of these blanket waivers, medical red shirts, transfer portal rules. There's 24, 25-year-olds, 7th year seniors competing against 18-year-old freshmen, which I is what we saw. And before this rule change, we saw young men especially, coaches weren't taking 18-year-olds. And why would you? You're competing against a 22-year-old. That's a huge difference. I think this is going to help the senior high school freshmen coming in and have more opportunity to play. Is my view. I don't know if you think that's going to help them or not. Help them or hurt a high school senior.
Well, any door that closes someone like older than 24 years old improves opportunities for the 18-year-old. I think that if we got rid of a certain segment, because right now I think the 18-year-old boy out of high school was probably the least recruited soccer player of all the male gender, and so this gives a little bit of a fighting chance back for those players. I don't know about them coming in and having more opportunities to play, but definitely to be rostered and be part of these teams again, I think that's going to increase those chances. I think coaches will start to look at them a little differently, but they still should value transfers first. Like you said, the age difference is still a big thing. Junior college transfer, internationals that are of the right age are probably all still going to be recruited over the 18-year-old American, but you're taking away a big chunk now of the older kids, and that gives them a better chance.
Yeah, it was funny. we brought up here about the gap year programs, and then shortly after they make this 5-5 rule, which it's like the gap year program I think is not as valuable anymore. We made a big push for the gap year program, and now I think if you think this, if you're a high school senior. Do you still look at a gap year, or do you go directly to a 4-year program that, because it's going to waste a year of eligibility, or do you still look at JUCO? I mean, how important do you think JUCO is still in this matter for these high school seniors?
Yeah, so I think what you're going to have to measure is the gap year and how it pertains to my marketability.
Yeah.
does me going to a gap year program and playing there improve my marketability? Are college coaches now more likely to recruit me coming out of a gap year program and playing year round? And do they value that versus, you know, being a player that's not on a first team somewhere and transferring, or being a player that's a junior college player? And I don't know the answer to that. Definitely not on the men's side. I don't know the answer to that, how they do value those gap year programs. And so if it is a marketable thing and it looks like, hey, I wasn't really being recruited as a senior in high school, and then I went to a gap year, and then my number of offers went up.
Yeah.
Values there. The values there. So we'll need that. We'll need that test to see the answer to that question.
Yeah, and I think it also depends on when you turn 19. You know, because some people's birthdays are going to fall late. I mean, if you happen to be an older senior and you turn 19 before most people, gap year's probably not, because it starts at 19 regardless.
Regardless, yeah.
So when you turn 19, that 5-year clock's going to start. And so if you're a younger player, Jack, my son he'll turn 18 in April of his senior year.
So that's later.
Yeah, so a gap year could be a fit for him.
Yeah.
And I don't see a downside of a gap year, because I think the reason they like transfers is because they've gone away from home, they played 6 days, they're playing in a full environment, competitive environment, 6 or 7 days a week. And I think if you find a good program that does that for you, you don't lose your year of eligibility.
Right.
I think your gap year programs could be a little more valuable in the JUCOs now if you do it well, because you don't lose a year of eligibility, and you're going to play in a competitive environment that mimics the college game of this gap year program.
Yeah, I mean, reserve teams are pretty popular right now.
Yeah, there's also that.
If you go to a really good program, D2, NAIA, and you're on the reserve team, you're going to get film.
That's also true.
And then when you transfer from freshman year to sophomore year 1 to 2, you could be more marketable.
You could. Or on that same side, if you go to a reserve program, if you go to Division II, Division I reserve program, you're in the system working with that coach. The coach gets to see you. And so you know your.
Yeah, you can work your way up your own team.
Yeah,
imagine that, Josh. No one ever works their way up their own team anymore. My God, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. But now I wonder what the percentage of teams that have reserve programs though. Because with budget cuts, all these budget cuts now, reserve programs are the first things to get cut, and so I think if the school you're looking at has a reserve program, I would go to that school as the reserve program. Because this is the dream. Let's say I know you're not Division II, but let's say William Jewell's your dream, and you're not willing to. You can't start right away, but we have a reserve program. Come play for the reserves. You're practicing with everyone else. You don't lose your eligibility. You're learning that style. I mean, to me, that's the way to do it.
Yeah. So that's almost your gap year, and you're getting games.
Correct. Yes.
My college is in the best conference in the nation for NAIA men's soccer. And I'm pretty sure every single school has a reserve team for the men's side.
In your conference?
Yeah, maybe not one or two, maybe.
Okay.
And so just reputationally, you could be on one of the top teams in the country for a lot of divisions and on their reserve team, which, yeah, you build up through there. That's great. And I know, too, the Division II conference in our part of the country, which is the solid Division II you just referenced, they also have a majority of the teams that have reserve teams. It's a very normal thing. So that is a pathway, I think, still as well, like you said.
I think what it comes down to is can you ask the right questions? Like, are you willing to ask questions? Because it is very confusing. And are you, look, the background just changed. Boom.
Now we're in our office of can you ask the right questions?
Now it just got serious. But I mean, what is it that you can? What is it that you can? I mean, can you ask the right questions? Like that's the thing. Can you ask the right questions for these? Because everyone's different. I got a story I'm going to tell you in a second, but you're going to like it. But go ahead with that.
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of boys players that's been our job, Josh, in the last couple of years, and more in the last 2 to 3 years than 4 to 5. The last 2 to 3 years that a lot are dealing with colleges that have reserve teams, and so like you said, the right question to ask is, what team do you see me coming in on?
Yeah.
And then something recently that one of our recruits did was he called a player on the first team from that, got connected with that player, a player on the roster, and asked, when you were going through the process, did you ask about reserve versus first team? Did the coach tell you which one you might be on? And the player said the coaches usually doesn't lie about that. If he said you're on first, you have a chance to play first team, he means it. And so that was it. The kid was like, okay, then I'm going to go to this school. And so those were the right questions, and finding the right people to ask those questions, like a coach, then like a player, to see if making sure that the coach is telling the truth. What a great way to go about it that we kind of went.
Do you feel most coaches will tell you the truth, though?
I don't know. That's why I think you verify what they say. Go to a player that you know. And what's funny, Josh, about this situation, the player that we connected with was also one of ours.
Oh, okay.
So it was a player that we placed in that program. I have another player. I said, well, why don't I connect you with this kid? He's on the team. Good kid. He'll answer your questions honestly. And sure enough, he did.
Yeah. And that all came because asking you the questions, though.
Asking the questions, absolutely.
I got a story. I know we're kind of shifting, but I got a story you're going to appreciate. I'm not going to say names, but there was a young lady who's a rising senior, so going to be a senior in a couple of weeks when I go back to school. Had a school that she was interested in, Division II, wasn't the best offer in the world, but still an offer, and they said, well, the mom said, well, let's go on campus and we will talk to the coach in person. Maybe we can let's walk around, see what their fit is, see how much they like you. Maybe we can talk academic men. Dad goes behind their back, sends the coach an email demanding more money and say, hey, this is what we were told to do, demands more money. The response is from the coach says, oh, never mind, we're going to rescind the offer, go a different direction.
Oh, no.
So one email, Dad thought, and probably thought he was helping.
Get my kid more. My kid needs more money. Yeah.
Yeah. And the coach says, okay, no, thank you. And I think it's a prime example of he probably read this somewhere online, or a buddy told him you should ask for more money. And instead of reaching out and asking for help, they just did it. And it cost his daughter a spot at a school she really wanted to go to. Now her senior year, she's back to square one.
Oh no! So I mean, you asked, can we ask the right questions?
Right.
There is the wrong questions.
There's always the wrong question, but I think when we ask questions, can you ask someone before you ask the coach? Like, your example was fantastic. They came to you, you asked someone on campus, you verified. Like, so many of these things you get one shot at, and especially now with this 5 and 5, like, recruitment is even more like. You are one enter button away from possibly losing a spot. Like, recruitment is even more crucial now, and you can't do it alone. This recruitment has changed. We just talked about what we did this summer, right? We were on the road. We saw ID camps. The game has changed so much over the summer. We had a presentation, for those who know, we had a presentation at Rush Summit, a couple hundred coaches at night campus. Tyler and I had to change our presentation 2 days before because the rules changed. And it's like,
we did.
It was like, and this is what's happening though. This is normal. It changes drastically, and AI is probably going to change here in the next month. And
can I give a shameless plug for you and me? Like, being able to utilize like us at CAP through the Rush system.
Yeah.
Right. Like, if a player can come to us and then we can go to that coach and be like, hey, would you ever give this kid more money?
Yeah.
What a softened, middle person we are there for these families. Like, it's not going to hurt or help your chances if I just like ask an honest question. And coaches, they might know us, they know that we work in the business. And so, then you either know or you don't know about like more scholarship. But I do still, even regardless of that, I encourage you to have those conversations with the coach. There's a tactful way to do it. I think if they, part of the family plan to do it in person, I think that's professional, and say and respectful to like say in person, like, hey, do you ever increase? Are there chances for us to get an increase? But doing that in person takes away the bite of a text or an email. So it's okay to don't let this be a story of like don't ever do that, right? Josh is just saying there's a right way to go about asking those questions and getting the answers that you're looking for, but doing it tactfully.
And I think, just like you said, just asking for advice. Like you said, I mean, this is, obviously you're in a rush, you have it, but there's so many people that can help you. This game is scary, overwhelming, confusing, and why risk it here? Like, why go about this on your own? Like you said, shameless plug for us, but why go about this on your own? Like, you have so many things that can of resources to help you. Like, please don't go about this. And if you're in rush and listening to this, don't do this on your own. Like, we have 3 people on staff at the college advisory program that can help. I mean, look at the sweet office we have, and but I know we kind of got off topic, and but
no, we didn't. I want to tell you we didn't get off topic because here's the deal: the D2 NCAA D2 made a change. It's 5-5. And what this conversation led to was exactly what we're supposed to talk about. And we're helping you get recruited. We're helping you in the process. The D2 change, we answered questions that might affect that. And we got a little farther, but all those farther things were here about recruitment. And that's what we're here to help you about.
Yeah, no, very, very true. Very true. But so let's talk NAI, Tyler. I know you guys tend to follow Division II, but let's talk NAI and what do you think those changes, if we're going to happen, when they're going to happen, and what have you heard from the powers maybe that NAI?
Yeah, so the national office for the NAIA, which is by you in Kansas City, correct? Yeah. They have said, I believe their meeting is this month, and I think their decision will be, I think they said before like September 10th. And so my guess would be they will follow suit and make this official. I think kind of like D2, was a little early. I think NAI is waiting until school starts, and we're already into the academic year before they make this change, which not that they would deal with the same kind of lawsuits, but it would kind of null and void those opportunities because we've already started the school year when they make their change. But I think they'll follow suit. And I said this when we spoke at the Rush Summit at Nike headquarters, but I think it would be very intelligent for the NAIA, if you can hear me, NAIA, to leave the age restriction out of it.
And attention NAIA, attention NAIA, you have a call on line 1.
Leave the age restriction out of it. It's what your clientele has been older people, and it does. There's still that demographic of player that's looking to play in the United States. You could separate yourself in a lot of ways by saying you could do 5 in 5 years, but you can start when you're 21 if you want. We don't care. And I think that would be a good separator for them. Don't have to listen to me. What do I know? But I think, yes, they'll adopt 5 in 5. I think if they were intelligent, they would not adopt the 19 clock starts at age 19.
Okay, so your your thought. Let me go back over this again. So your thought is doesn't matter when you start. So if you go to NAIA at age 20, you have 5 years to do it. Is what
Correct.
You're saying?
Yes. Because where are those people going? They're going to go play 3 years somewhere? They can go play 5 in the NAIA. Keep your numbers up competitively with your athletics. So you're trying to increase numbers still. NAIA is growing every year. This would be a great way to grow.
So it doesn't really solve much. So I mean, what's your guys' rule now though? Let's
What's the rule now? No,
you don't have a 5 in 5 rule. Like
there's no 5 in 5. There's no age restriction now.
But you still only have 5 years of eligibility, correct?
Yeah.
So you would basically just say you have 5 years, but with 0 medical red shirts and like that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah, but I mean, it certainly does not eliminate You're right for the older players. Now, how many older international players are there? I mean, excuse me, how many older
in the NAIA?
Sorry. I said the question wrong. How many older American domestic players are there?
Not very many.
So, I mean, what you're not kind of advocating for the international players to be able to come over and to continue to play. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm trying to get a grasp of what.
I guess I would say I'm not advocating for internationals or Americans. I'm advocating for those that maybe decided to do something different with their life for 2 years, and then realized that they can still go to college and play a sport. I don't see anything wrong with that. And I think at the NAIA level, you're not dealing with the NILs and everything, so the game's still the game. And so why not open your door to those people that don't have the age restriction put on them now and have them come in your door? Maybe that will open it up to more older Americans that they don't have at the NAIA now that they would have. I'm just trying to help their business.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So I take 2 years off, and I'm trying to figure my life out. I'm 19 or 20, and then I go play for you, but I'll have 5 years still.
So have your 5 years, yeah. Absolutely, I think that would be a separator for the NAIA with this landscape.
How would that change your? Okay, so let's say they listen to your vision here.
Okay.
How does that change what you do on a day-to-day basis, like recruitment?
Well, first of all, I'm still reveling in the fact that someone would listen to my vision. I really liked how you put that. How it wouldn't change anything for recruitment. I don't think, the recruitment shifts to the other side a little bit, right? It opens more doors for the older players to contact the NAIA schools. It's hard to just go find a 20-year-old that had been working construction the last 2 years but was good at soccer 2 years ago and expect him to be the same player.
Well, for sure.
It might not happen, but it doesn't affect, I don't think, a lot of the recruitment, especially if this is what NAIAs have been doing now anyway. They're just going to stick with their same contacts, their same agents overseas, their same club contacts, and just remind them, like, well, you don't have to be 19 to start with us. You can be older. And I think that would be the plan. It wouldn't change my recruitment philosophy whatsoever.
If the 5-5 passes NAIA as it currently stands with Division II, how does that change? How is that going to change your recruitment on the women's side?
We do look at a couple older international players from time to time, so that would maybe take away the occasional older impact player. I tell you, it would definitely affect maybe some of the we're more American heavy on my team, but some of the international heavy teams in our conference that constantly go to the national tournament. One of the best players in our conference last year, I think, was a minimum of 26. She could have been 28 by the time she finished, and she was one of the top players in our conference. And so players like those, and maybe some of my opponents, that's where the biggest change would happen. And maybe then you see a little bit of a closed gap in the parity of some of the NAIA conferences that are just relying on those 23 to 27-year-olds if they did the same thing. So if parity is what they're going for, maybe that's your move. If clientele numbers and volume is what you're going for, you don't put the age restriction.
But don't you think so on the volume clientele, if there's age restrictions and you're getting roster limits, my right now they're only roster limits of Division One. My gut tells me Division Two is going to have a roster limit.
Here's why I think the presidents
won't it flow downhill though for you?
I think you hit your first hill with the presidents of Division Two because enrollment still there's some Division One schools there's a Division One school in my state of where I live that 6 years ago had 12,000 students. Now they have 5.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, that's a Division One school. So the presidents would fight back on that, because if this school down the street from me that has a reserve team right now, 50 players, they need that school to stay open. So I think you would get a pushback on roster limits for Division II because of that reason, and it would.
I think for sure there's going to be a big pushback, and I think is what helps Division II. I think especially Division II, I don't think they can require. They schools are dropping the reserve program. But I think if you have Division II with reserves, I think that becomes one of the best fits for athletes.
Amen.
And same as NAI. I mean, I think these reserve programs are fantastic. So, but the NAI is going to drastically affect the men's side more because I mean, internationals are much heavier on the men's side than NAI.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, final question for you. We spent the summer on the road, ID camps, all different things we've done, and what was your takeaway from the summer of ID camps? Any advice, positive, negative, something funny? What do you take away from the summer?
Yeah, I think ID camps are on the rise, and I think everyone's valuing them. More of them are popping up. I think I shared with you. I don't know if you saw it. One of my
it was
recruits,
fantastic. Yeah, shout out from Missouri Rush. Oh, and a Missouri Rush. Well done.
Missouri Rush player who chronicled all of his ID camps.
Yeah.
And this is because I think this is what it's happening now. I think they're valuing them. He's putting in there his what was it? His not likability, but his fit percentage.
Yeah, I did see that.
He had a fit percentage
good.
for each. He had a fit percentage for each one. Like I think like 80% is a good fit for me. Like 90% is a good fit for me. 60% okay fit for me if I really really had to. And so I think my takeaway from the summer with ID camps was a lot of players are valuing them. And even on one of them, he said, I went to this ID camp, but I made a connection with this coach from another college while at that ID camp.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed playing for that coach or going to his session. And I'm like, this is what it's all about. And so I think we had a little bit of a rise of the ID camps. I will say, when we get to the end of the year, I will say the other thing I think is a little bit on the rise is ODP.
Yes.
They're fighting back really hard right now and starting to get a little bit of momentum going,
Yep.
Which I think is great for those programs as well. So those are the two things I think I take away from the summer that have gone really well. What do you say?
Well, I want to touch on the ODP thing because that's an interesting point. I had not thought of that, but you're right. I'm in Missouri, and they're making a big push. They're doing a really good job with that. I think this stems from the, I hate to say anti-league, but I think what people are learning, and I don't, with Rush we have teams in every league, but I think what they're learning is just because you're an RL, just because you're this doesn't make you a better team, and I think people are wanting something different, and I think ODP is capitalizing on that. Like,
they are.
I'm in a smaller town. I'm from the Lake of the Ozarks. So I'm here in Kansas City, and I don't want to play for this giant conglomerate of a club, but I don't have any other options. So they're able to play for smaller clubs and still get still do ODP. And I think ODP is really capitalizing on it. I think they're carving out a niche again, and I think everything's come full circle. Who knows? State Cup.
Yeah, it's funny.
State Cup may be cool again.
Yeah, I think that's funny. And I would say even too, there are players that are part of really big clubs.
Yeah.
That what ODP's done a really good job of is they've inserted good coaches.
Yeah, they have. I'll give you that.
They have a lot of the areas have good coaches. And so these players that are in big clubs, they just go join the ODP. Now they're getting different instruction. They like these coaches. They could get recruited by these coaches. A lot of them are college coaches. And so they like this other avenue that they can go. Like, we provide Rush Select, right? And you get college coaches, you get college coach attention, you're with a different group of people, you get new experiences, and it's going to make you a better player. And so I think ODP's kind of carving that out too, that I can also just do this and it's extra and it's more work. An ID camp, ODP, Rush Select. So there's you have no excuse right now to be homogenous in your training. You can get all these different approaches in learning environments, which I think is fantastic.
And I don't know the cost of ODP, but I have to imagine it's less because everything's more expensive now. People with the dollars, to play in these leagues, in ECNL or wherever. Who they're great, but you're traveling, you're flying, and you're thousands on travel, and I'm assuming ODP is a more affordable option. That you're still, like you said, you're getting different training, you're getting good training. You still maybe it's a college coach doing it. So, I think they're doing a good job. I 100% agree with you. I think that's a good shout. The thing I noticed this summer is the lack of women or girls, young ladies going to ID camps. That totally flipped.
Yeah. What the heck happened there?
I have.
Right? You're right. Everything
it's been consistent.
All boys. Then boys never do anything.
And we had, 2 years ago, we couldn't get young men at these ID camps, and now it's 75% boys right now. And I don't. Someone asked me, I said, I don't know.
Now I will say, I think maybe because here's the difference again. So what Josh and I provide is like multiple coaches coming to you through a different value. Girls are so targeted. They have like their 5 colleges, 6 colleges, and they go to those ID camps and they're evaluating, like I think that's probably what's happening. Every college has one now, so they're using those. The guys are like, wait, I can go to this one and like 10 coaches will see me, 15, 20? Yeah, let me go to that, Mom.
True.
And so I think there's, just like boys would, they're shortcutting it.
Oh, I see that.
We're providing an easier route for them rather than going to every college in the Midwest. All the colleges will come to them. They're no dummies. Like they're just like,
there's also true. There's that, and also,
yeah, Mom, you can't tell me no coaches saw me. It's 15 to 20 saw me. That one I went to.
One and done. Yeah, but I also think it's also, I think it's harder for the young men. I don't think they're getting the responses.
Yeah, they have to work harder. Yep.
Yeah, I do. I think they got to work much harder, and I think they're seeing it. And you're right. It is an easier button, but because with the big thing,
you're right. It's because they're also not getting any emails back, no calls back.
Right.
Tell you, like, how do I get these college coaches to see me as an 18, 17-year-old boy?
I still found the biggest thing I found, and I talked about it. Is the lack of ability to go to these ID camps and stand out. There's so many people that think I just go to these things. I'm here. Look at me. And it doesn't work that way. I voice this a lot. Like they can't even introduce themselves. When they come time to check in, mom and dad. The guy's a junior in high school. Let him introduce. Let him speak for himself. Like, mom and dad, will you just calm down for a second? And someone, I posted that. Someone's like, well, it's the technology. It's not the technology. It's the mom and dad not letting them do it. It has nothing to do with technology. My kids are on the phone a lot, but I'm not walking up to check in and get a shirt for them. They got to do it on their own. That's a mom and dad thing. But I noticed that at every ID camp in every city, people
you're right. You had a good
to advocate for themselves and to talk and to say, my name is Josh, and that is mind-numbing sometimes. And that, to me, that's on the parents. And I know I'm gonna get some kickback for that, but that's how I feel.
No, I agree with you. I don't know if we're on the minority, but you had a good you posted a good reel about that. Please have your kid talk to the coaches and the people checking them in and shaking hands, not you and not you for them. And I think that was a great post that you sent. And I will, and this, you'll probably make this into a reel. I sat through a panel of a bunch of college kids, and they all talked about how they got recruited. Okay, there was one boy on that panel. And he's admitted earlier in the panel interview that he didn't really use email and didn't care about emails. He would prefer that a college coach just text him, right? And then they're going back through and talking about all the offers all of the kids had before they chose their school. Well, this kid, they got back to him, and he had one offer.
Yeah.
That coach had texted him, of course.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not surprised the kid that was too dumb to figure out email only had one offer. Like, we're not asking a lot when Josh brought up technology that you teach your high school kids how to use email. They need to know how to use email. And yes, college coaches still email to every kid on the panel said they would rather the coach have an email first to introduce them to the program, then follow up with a text. That was unanimous. And so obviously it's still the first form of communication in a lot of ways.
I heard something, and I was in Minnesota. It almost started a revolt. They started talking about paper brochures. And really, for even as young as some of these college coaches, it is still a basic system for college coaches.
Yeah.
Email, phone call, and we want a paper brochure. Like, all these new technology things.
Is that so much to ask for?
Yeah, coaches can log in and you get this. Like, no, I still want to write something down. And I still want an email. I still want a call. But and I'll tell you why I think this is, and this goes back to one of our marketing things. It is, you remember 75% more when you write it down. And I think for a coach, I know for me, when I need to do something important, like when I'm scouting for Rush Select, I'm handwriting it down instead of putting it in my phone, because I know I'm gonna remember that kid a little more than just typing something in my phone. And it's the same thing with recruitment. You're going on a weekend watching 25 different teams and 100 different players. If you write something down, it sticks a little better. And I think that's why it's still, I hate to say old school, but I think the recruitment process is still, everyone tries to be so fancy and only text, only this. I'm like, sometimes a simple brochure, simple phone call, simple email, it's still the way to do it. I don't know. That's just, I don't know.
Love it. All right. Great info today.
All right, everyone. We're going to play some Hawaiian music to hear us out.
That's a good way to,
Yeah. Season 7 of Cap Chat Live, everyone. We appreciate Tyler Thomason coming in hot with the Wildcat.